some major challenges ahead, but
Right.
you know, looking into you and your background, you've got 30 years of your life that you've dedicated to the U.S. Army, serving our country. In addition to that, you've also spent several years with working with the Department of Homeland Security. Now, what advantage does your unique background give you as you position yourself to defeat Chet Edwards?
Just to clarify, about half of my military career was spent in operational assignments, airborne, reconnaissance, overseas, in the U.S. About half my head devoted at West Point, which I would include in as sort of a line duty, even though I was teaching at West Point at the time, working with young lieutenant or young cadets who were going to be lieutenants. About half of my time then was focused on strategic issues, starting really in 1987 when I moved into the work as a writer in the Chief of Staff's office from the Army and the Pentagon, and then on working for the four-star that commanded all forces between California and Africa. We took a look at those issues that were way beyond the day-to-day, how does the military do business? Issues that involve diplomacy, economics, intelligence, as well as just military forces. And then, as I sort of grew in my responsibilities and ended up as the dean at the National War College in Washington, D.C., we began to include domestic issues in that. The issues of economics and jobs, the issues of security of our borders and security inside the United States, but especially the issues of how do you do that and maintain our freedoms and our liberties. I mean, it's easy to secure a country. It's hard to secure a country and maintain the liberty of the people. And so I've been focused on that, on these issues, really since 1987. I mean, this is what I've done. I worked with the issue of Homeland Security, and I've worked back and forth with the department. I was not in the Department of Homeland Security. I've been teaching and writing and working in a think tank, the field of Homeland Security, now since about 1997. Picked it up before I left the service. And I do think we had a real contribution. I was able to help in the shaping of curriculum for schools nationwide that are teaching Homeland Security. How does all this matter? Look, these issues touch every aspect of America's future. Everything from agriculture to zoology in the university. Everything from economics and education for young people to the questions of how do we deal with the promises we've made our older citizens, who, by the way, were responsible citizens, and we need to keep our promises to them. So the question of why other nations fail, why the United States have succeeded, these are the questions I've dealt with as a strategist for the last 20 years. So put all those things together, I think it's going to prepare us to really take Chet Edwards directly on in the things in the past he has said have been his strengths. He thinks that he has had strengths in the military, House Armed Services Committee. I have 22 years of observing how the military does business. I have some very hard questions, things he should have provided oversight to. Bob Gates, our Secretary of Defense, has just canceled a number of programs which have been under construction for 15, 20 years. Now, if we could save that $1 trillion now, why didn't somebody call this to our attention earlier? Where has the House Armed Services Committee been that Congressman Edwards was sitting on? And that's just one example. We could move to every area. We could move to the issue of jobs creation. We move to the area of security along our border. And let me tell you, it's not the Border Patrol that worries me. It is corruption along our border, where we've had many, many law enforcement officials now who have been indicted, casting a pall on those hard-working officials that have been doing their duty. Where has Congress been in that oversight? Veterans issues, that I know Congressman Edwards has been very strong in veterans issues, but he can't be any stronger than I am. My dad was a veteran. My father-in-law was in Merrill's Marauders, spent 32 years in the service. I have uncles that served. I graduated from West Point, spent 30 years. My brother-in-law is a West Point graduate. I have 3 nephews that have served in Iraq or in Vietnam or Iraq. I have a nephew who's flying off a Navy carrier. I have a nephew flying in Apache in Afghanistan right now. I have a son who served in Korea and in Iraq. I have a daughter that served in the headquarters in Iraq, serves as a translator, speaking Arabic and Farsi. And I have a son who's got more than 2,000 hours, combat hours now, and is serving with the Air Force Special Operations. I think I've got something I could talk about in the area of veterans issues. So I guess my answer to your question is, the things that have been Representative Edwards' strengths in the past, I believe I can take them on directly and either provide my own solutions or ask why after 20 years are we in the mess that we're in if you've been driving the bus.